our allies and negotiating the final settlement when victory was won. In today's unquiet peace, the man of the hour on Inauguration Day faces far greater responsibilities than earlier presidents. The march of events has made the White House the hub of national and world affairs. The man who sits at the president's desk has heavier duties and more power than almost any other individual on earth. For he's the freely chosen leader of the American people. A great nation and a good part of the world look to him for action on a host of problems. The president is chief of a vast executive establishment, headed up by the 10 heads of departments who sit here as his cabinet. Appointing and removing cabinet members and other top-level officials is one of the president's most important executive tasks.
Well, this is the statement, boys. The president has just sent to the Senate the appointment of James S. Bostwick for Secretary of Interior. Any questions?
The scope of his responsibilities is symbolized in the panorama of the nation's capital, where massive structures house the executive agencies. Building, center of the armed forces, to the new department concerned with the health, education, and welfare of citizens. From the agency devoted to the progress and prosperity of the nation's farmers, to the State Department concerned with foreign affairs. These but a few of the manifold activities carried on by more than 2 million federal employees. Their work directed from the executive wing of the White House. Within these solemn premises, a busy corps of presidential assistants and aides works night and day to keep the executive machinery running. The president handles major matters of policy in cabinet meetings and in conferences with top-level people in Congress and the executive agencies.
How's the president, Mr. Secretary? Have you any statement to make?
Sorry, boys, no comment.
Hey, how about it, Mr. Secretary? Anything new on the St. Lawrence Waterway project?
Sorry, no comment. Except that I can say that the president and I are in complete agreement on what action to take. That's complete agreement.
From the president's desk come executive orders covering a wide range of federal activity.
The president directs that the United States Commission for the St. Lawrence Waterway shall consist of 5...
The President directs that in accordance with the powers granted him under the Tariff Law of 1948, schedules on hides from Brazil shall be reduced by...
The President directs that the Division of Information of this department be abolished, and its function to be assigned to a new division to be termed the...
But the duties of the president are more than executive. Americans look to him to provide Congress and the nation with a program of legislation.
The prosperity of American business? Why, that's up to the president.
Sure, but so is the welfare of labor.
Don't forget the farmers. He's got to help us.
Taxes. That's the big issue. The president's got to cut them down.
And what about keeping the peace? That's up to the president, too.
While making the laws of the land is chiefly the responsibility of the people's representatives in Congress, the president has enormous influence in the work of Congress. A major act of the president is to deliver his State of the Union message to a joint session of both houses. In this and later messages, he proposes a program of legislation.
Among the specific recommendations in his message today, the president urged legislation to make federal funds available for public school construction. He said, among other things, that schools...
The president's proposals are introduced into Congress by his friends. But he generally faces strong opposition.
The office he holds. But, gentlemen, I am opposed to taking any action on this bill until such time as this committee has given a more thorough study. We cannot let the president dictate to us about this school building program anymore.
The president has a number of ways of winning support. For one thing, he can appeal to party loyalty.
All right, I got it for you. At his press conference today, the president said pointedly that the school building program is one of the most vital proposals before the Congress today. Yeah, that's right. Now, he urged all the members of the administration party to get behind him.
The president also urges his program in personal meetings with congressional leaders.
Yes.
The president talked to us for a half hour at least about this school building bill. He's hot about it.
The president can bring pressure on congressmen through his power over appointments. But the president's most effective weapon is the direct appeal for public support.
The appropriation of federal funds for public school construction is just one of the measures we propose for assistance to education. So
finally,
vital to the
when
welfare
Congress
of the
passes a
nation.
measure, the president enters directly into lawmaking. He can veto bills which go to him for signature. But if he signs a bill or fails to veto it, it becomes law. To veto, the president returns the bill to Congress with his objections.
Gentlemen, this is the text of the president's veto message on the River and Harbors bill.
Say any news about the school building bill?
No. But off the record, he'll sign it when it comes to his desk.
But of course, Congress can override the veto by a 2/3 vote. Despite frequent clashes between president and Congress, the president holds a position of powerful leadership. Citizens regard him as their personal spokesman.
Dear Mr. President, I just want to tell you that out here we're all behind you. But there's one thing...
Citizens give him the greatest public attention.
You have just heard a message from the President of the United States.
For the growth of America to a world power has added steadily to the power and prestige of the presidency, giving the strong men who hold this office increasing responsibility, conferring on this one man, the President of the United States, a solemn obligation to act for all the American people.